Hello my dudes, and welcome back to my little corner of the internet. If you're new here, I'm Evan, and I knit things. And if you're a regular, welcome back. I'm so glad you're all here. Today I have for you the last podcast of the year, podcast episode 33. So today's podcast, we're going to talk about what I've been up to since the last one on December 12th. And today, for me, is December 26th. So, I have for you some regular podcast things like finished objects and whips and acquisitions and book chat. And then I thought since this is the last podcast of the year, we'd also go over like some year-end stuff. Did I hit goals? Make 9, knitters, bingo, what I've knit this year, and I thought we'd go through all of that. Obviously, it's not quite the end of the year, so there may be a few things added in there, but it's fine. I'm telling my brain it's fine, it's fine. I'm not going to freak out about it. And then next week, for the first episode of the year, we'll talk about all that stuff for the coming year. So first, let's talk finished objects. Obviously, I am wearing one of them. This is the Crown of Roses sweater by Kathleen Simpson. I don't quite remember what state it was in last time you guys saw it, but it wasn't finished. So I started this project on November 13th, and I finished it on December 21st. I knit the size D. The yarn is Knit Pick Stroll in 2 colors, black and Buoy is the red. What else? Here's a video of what it looks like more than from here up. Modifications I made. I did 3 mods for this one. You're supposed to like do a tubular cast on and start at the ribbing and then do the neckline or do the color work. I didn't do that. I started just a regular cast on and immediately started the color work, and then I went back and picked up and knit the color this way, so it would have a little more structure here. Second, I continued the color work about 3 inches longer than I was supposed to because I thought I was going to run out of black yarn, and I did, but I figured that out before the end of the project, so I was able to order it and then have it before I finished it, which was nice. I only needed like that much more yarn, which was annoying, but it was fine. What else? Oh, and I lengthened the ribbing everywhere. It only called for like 1/2 inch of ribbing everywhere, and I didn't like that. So I did longer ribbing. I think I did a little over 1 inch for the neckline and the sleeves, and then the bottom hem I did a little more than that. I think that's everything about this pattern. I would absolutely recommend this pattern. Look where that hits. Like, that is where an armpit for a circular yoke is supposed to hit. It doesn't do the weird thing when you raise your arms where all of this lifts up and then the sweater is like up here. No, it fits good. I like it a lot. Yeah. Oh, I did also change the needle sizes. It has you using like, where did I put my phone? Let me just tell you what the pattern says. Okay, so the pattern calls for 3 different sizes of needles. It calls for a 2.75 millimeter for ribbing, a 3.25 millimeter for main color, and then a 3.5 millimeter for color work. But I was able to have the same gauge between color work and regular knitting the whole time. So I used a 3.25 millimeter for everything, and then a 2.75 millimeter for the ribbing. I did have to do some maths. Well, I had an app do maths for me, because my row gauge was crazy for this pattern. So, but that was, it worked out fine. Okay, so that's it for the crown of roses. Next finished object is my blur cardigan. Woo! I think it was almost finished last time I showed you guys. But it's finished. Insert video of me wearing it. So this pattern is by Sarah Opie. I cast it on August 28th and bound off on December 13th. I knit the size 4B. Yarn is from both Dragon Horde yarn and Ella Ray. The pattern, you can use several different numbers of skeins of yarn or different colors of yarn. I had 5 skeins I wanted to use. The pattern didn't have 5 skeins, so I modified heavily. So the first color is Dragon Horde. The second color is Dragon Horde. The third and fourth colors are Ella Ray. And then the last color is also Dragon Horde. I think it turned out really nice, and even though I ran out of colors 3 and 4, I don't think it's really that noticeable. It just looks like I did this faster, and it looks great. I did I finished it back on the 13th, and then I wore it a few times and decided I wanted some more length on the sleeve. So I did go back and add about that much more length on the sleeve afterwards, and now it's perfect, though I do need to reblock the end of the sleeves again just so it's less lumpy, because I didn't steam the yarn. I just unraveled and started knitting again. I don't care. I will eventually do that, but not right now. And buttons are from Twin Mountain Handcrafts. This is the Champagne Mirror, and they are perfect. Perfect! I definitely am going to knit another one of these in blues and greens, and it's going to be amazing. So, yeah. Really love this. I've worn it most days since I finished it. I have one more finished object, which is the Gnandad's Adventure Imagine Landscapes Mystery Knit Along for this year. It finished, I mean, it technically, the last clue came out on the 20th, so everyone should be well done with it by now. And it's the screenshot anyway, or it's the whatever. Anyway, here's Gnandad all finished. He does have skis that are popsicle sticks, but we didn't want to have them on him permanently, so he just sits on them. He's very, very cute. He looks excellent with Nana. Here's a picture of him and Nana together. Again, this is by Schira, and yarns used, I used 4 colors of the Fangirl Fibers Dark Academia Halloween Countdown from this year. So we used a gray, a dark blue, a light blue, and then a cream. Look at his little suspenders. They're so cute. So cute. The only mods I made on this are that like his little tassels are supposed to have knots in them, but I liked it better like this. And you're supposed to attach his skis permanently if you use the skis, but I didn't. So, yeah. He's adorable. He's an excellent addition to our little party of gnomes downstairs. I made a knit another gnome before the end of the year. We'll have to see. But yeah, he's so cute. Next, we can talk whips. I will also do the giveaway winner in acquisitions. Sorry if I didn't mention that before. I will though. Actually, you know what? You guys have waited long enough. Let's just do the giveaway winner. Insert video clip of me pulling the winner. The winner is Hannah Corner 18. So, Hannah, send me an email at evanknitsthings@gmail.com, or if you'd prefer, you can send me a DM on Instagram at evanknitsthings, and we will get your prize all set up. In case anyone forgot, here's the prize. You win these 2 beautiful skeins of Hedgehog Fibers Aran and 10 stitch markers and this very cute bag. So, send me an email. If I haven't heard from you in like 2 or 3 weeks, then we'll pick a different winner. And if you're overseas, we'll get you something else. So, thank you, Hannah, and thank you to everyone who entered. We will do another giveaway at 1,500 subscribers, so tell your friends. Whips. I currently only have 2 whips. Let's talk about the first one. So actually in both of my whips there's part of acquisitions. My bestie, Katie, made me this bag for Christmas. Look, it's got little jimmies on it. That's a different kind of gecko, but still. It's Jimmy. So she made me this project bag with jimmies on it. And then she sent me yarn as well, which is the other whip I have. So this whip is the Morning in Siena sweater by Minimi Knit Designs. You guys haven't seen this at all yet. I don't think, anyway. I'm actually mostly finished with it. Got 1 sleeve left. Finished sleeve. Got about that far. This yarn is Treehouse Knits. Both in the colorway Williams Hardware. One is her Surrey Ash Lace, and the other is her Natural Sock, which is a non-superwash merino and nylon. It's really pretty, obviously. Gorgeous. I am kind of heavily modifying this pattern. Not on purpose, but there's the button band. It obviously hasn't been blocked, so it's a little wonky. But there's where the buttons will go. I really like this double button detail. It's really cute. I ordered buttons. They're supposed to be here at some point. So, modifications I am making to this. I didn't swatch because I didn't feel like it. And I've knit enough of these like fingering and fluffy yarn at a big open gauge that I've got a general idea of what's going on. So I'm knitting between the size 3 and 4 because the size 3 was like a 42-inch bust and the size 4 was a 50. or a 49.5-inch bust, and I was like, well, I don't want either of those. I want in between. That's a big gap. So I'm knitting between the size 3 and 4. Basically, I cast on for the size 4. Then I got most of the way through the raglan increases and was like, this is getting bigger than I want it to be. So then I stopped between the size 3 and 4. Which then means that I need to kind of make up the numbers for the body and the sleeves myself. Also, I knit the sleeves to pattern, but with my sleeve numbers, and the sleeve was too big. It was bigger than I wanted. So now I re-knit the first sleeve at a much shorter decrease rate. So I had to basically make up the decrease rate. I'm making the ribbing, it's like a broken rib on the hem and the cuffs. I'm making that twice as long because it's only like this long and I don't like that. And then, no, that's it. That's all the mods. Yeah. So this is the last item on my Make 9, and it should be finished by the end of the year. It may actually be finished today, but I would imagine tomorrow at most, because I just have the sleeve left. And this is knit on size 10 needles. Like, it goes fast. So, whip 1. Whip 2, which is, again, an acquisition yarn from my bestie. It is Lavender Lune Yarn Company. Their DK base, and the colorway is called Rosie Owl. And I am knitting the Simple Thing by Melina Brell. I actually cast this on, like, look at that, it is gorgeous. I cast this on so I would have something to knit in the car when we did Thanksgiving with my in-laws last weekend, but then Garrett got really sick and we didn't go. So I did cast this on. However, I'm going to unravel it and start it over because, number one, I forgot to weigh the yarn ahead of time, so I won't know where I want the decreases to start. Second of all, I am changing the decrease rate. In the Melina Brell pattern, you increase and decrease every 4th row, but I want it to be a lot skinnier and longer than that. So I was gonna do 10, but I still don't think that's enough. So I think I'm gonna rip back to the beginning, and I think I'm gonna do, instead of 3 stitches in the middle cast on at the beginning, I'm just gonna do 1. And then I think I'm going to increase every 12 rounds or rows instead of 10. But we'll see. I'll have to see what it looks like. Like, cause this is fatter than I want the end to be. So, yeah. We'll have to see. It won't take long. Like, honestly, this took 10 minutes. So, but I am going to recast this on before I have Christmas with my family next week on the 30th. So yes, nobody has received their hats or anything or the amazing sweater yet because that's not until next week. So that's all the whips. So then let's talk the rest of acquisition. Okay, so we got the bag and the yarn. So let's continue with Christmas gift acquisitions that I got. I got books from my mother-in-law. So let's talk about the books that I got. I finally acquired the Spooky Lakes book. I'm so excited. I haven't looked through it yet. I'm saving it for I don't know what, but I got the Spooky Lakes book. I made her a list of books. And then I got book 1 and 2 of T. Kingfisher's Saint of Steel series. I love this series. T. Kingfisher is my favorite author. But somehow, previous to these two, I only owned one of her books, which was unacceptable. So, I've got the first two. I need to get the second two. And then I need to do a reread of these this year. Because unfortunately another one isn't coming out, but I need to reread them anyway because the series is so good. Although, the kind of prequel to this series, Swordheart, is getting another book. Daggerbound is coming out this year. So, that sounds like a reason to reread them all. And then she got me 3 more books. She got me my 2 favorite Emily Henrys, Beach Read and Book Lovers. I've read them both. I didn't get any books besides Spooky Lakes that I haven't read. So there's nothing to add to the TBR cart. So I got these 2. And then my favorite Allie Hazelwood, Deep End. Bride is probably my second favorite, but I already own that, and Mate, but I haven't read Mate yet. So that is on my TBR cart. And when we get Mate on the TBR cart, we have to reread Bride first. Because I don't remember enough of the details. Anyway, Christmas gifts. I also am getting a new tattoo in February. We're doing a big Pokemon back piece with evolutions, so that should be pretty fun. But that's not until February. But tattoos are expensive, so. Then I can show you guys the advents that I had now that they're all finished. I had the stitch marker Nightmare Before Christmas countdown from the Knotty Knittress. So video of all the stitch markers. And then I had the Casual Fashion Queen yarn advent. And here's a picture of that. And then, one more thing. My friend Rachel from Rachel is Knitting sent me a project that tried to ruin her life from a couple years ago. It may have been last year. I honestly cannot remember. But this was a project that she worked on that she didn't want anymore, and I had been working on the same project at the same time, and mine didn't turn out right either. So she sent this to me. This is her Daft Days cardigan, which when she said she'd send it to me, I had intended on just finishing it, but it doesn't fit me either. So I'm going to do something else with this yarn. Her main color is from Long Dog Yarn, and then this was the Hobbit Advent. I think it was from the Skein and the Stitch, or maybe it was Through the Wardrobe. I don't remember, but that was all the minis. So I think I'm going to do something with all of the minis, and then I think I'll do something else with the main color, but I don't know what that is yet. I don't know what I'm going to do with my advent for this year either. I'm thinking maybe a wrap or like a shawl scarf thing, but not triangular shaped. But I don't know. I can't decide. I have plenty of time. So, we've talked about all the regular stuff except books. Should we do books or year-end stuff first? We always end with books, so let's do year-end stuff first. So, first, goals for the year. I had some personal goals for the year. I had some not, well, yes, personal, but I'm sharing with you goals for the year. So I had a running goal that just didn't get to happen this year because my body just said, no, we're not doing that this year. We're gonna really struggle with your brain all year, and things are not gonna go well with the exercising. So no, didn't do that. I wanted to finish The Cosmere by Brandon Sanderson, which I did, although he's coming out with 2 new books for it this coming year, so add that to the list. I wanted to read 150 to 175 books. I've done that. I am currently sitting at 176 books. I'm sure we'll add at least 1 or 2 more before the end of the year. I wanted to finish my giant pink blanket, which I did. I wanted to finish my polygon blanket, which I did. I wanted to make 25 things in 2025. We'll talk about how many things I actually made this year and what they were, but yes, I did that too. I wanted to make 12 cross stitches. I did not do that at all. I made 2. I wanted to have 500 YouTube subscribers. We knocked that out of the frickin' park, man. And then I wanted to have a certain number of Instagram followers, and we did not even come close. I think I gained maybe like 50 for the whole year. Instagram has been weird. So let's talk about my Make 9. Here was my Make 9. And I have made all of the things except this one has 1 sleeve left. So, yes, I completed my Make 9, or will have completed by the end of the year. Which means that I will also be completing my Knitters Bingo. So just some of the things that are on here are knit with my 2024 Advent, which I did. I wanted to use yarn from 2022 or older. Did that. Knit with scrap yarn. Did that. So there were some fun things on here that we did throughout the year. Then other year-end things. So far this year, we'll have at least 1 more item to add to this list, but I have finished 75 items. That's a lot of items. That's including things for me, that's including samples, that's everything I've knit or crocheted this year. That doesn't include cross stitch. So we can say 77 items I've made this year. So what are those comprised of? Oh, and I currently have 3 whips. The 2 you saw and my random scrappy sweet shop blanket. We will probably have 2 whips left by the end of the year. I don't have any plans to finish the simple thing, and I definitely can't finish the blanket by the end of the year. I have no intention of doing that. So what comprises those 77 items this year? 2 cross stitches, 3 blankets, 8 shawls or scarves, 11 sweaters, which will be 12 by the end of the year, 7 pairs of socks, 14 hats, 5 tank tops, 2 tees, and 6 plushies. Most of which were gnomes. That's a lot of things I've made this year. That's more than I expected. I actually ran out of room in my, like, I keep a log of everything that I'm making, my project log. I ran out of space. Like, I had to not write in all 5 hats for the second round of hats because I was going to run out of space. And if I cast on anything else between now and the 31st, I don't have any more space to write it. I mean, I'll probably just write it on the very bottom. I think I'm in Cast On Another Gnome. Are you allowed to like cast on one of your 2026 Make 9 things before 2026? Is that allowed? I feel like it's not allowed, but I feel like I want to do it anyway. I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter. So, we can talk about all of the things that I want to do in 2026 in next week's episode, but I think that just leaves book chat. So, note, in 2026, I will be switching from Goodreads to Fable. I already use Fable and have been using it for almost a year now, and honestly, it's just better in every way than Goodreads. It does everything that Goodreads does, except it does it better. And for most books, it's also, there's like content warnings and a spice level, and honestly, I just like it better in every way. And it's not owned by Amazon. So, at the end of the year, I will remove my Goodreads links. My Fable link is already there. You can go join me over there. It also has book clubs. I'm in several book clubs on Fable. So, you can go check it out. If we want to start a book club, we could totally do that on Fable. If you're interested in starting an Evan Knits Things book club, let me know. The way it usually works is like there's a poll and you'll pick like 4 books and then everybody in the club votes on what book to read that month. So it wouldn't just be me picking the books. I mean, I read just about everything. So yeah, I mean, I don't read a ton of nonfiction, but I'm trying to read more of it. So yeah, what have I been reading? What am I currently reading? I've finished 6 books since we spoke last. We're at 176 books so far for the year. Again, there will probably be a few more before the end of the year. Books I have finished are Immortal Consequences by Ivy Marie. Interesting. May or may not read the next one when it comes out. I don't know. The ending made me mad. So that was 4 stars. Automatic Noodle by Annalee Newitz. Super cute little novella. 4 stars. Violet Thistlethwaite is Not a Villain Anymore by Emily Kremfoltz. So cute. 4 stars. Can't Spell Treason Without Tea by Rebecca Thorne. Meh. It was fine. I probably won't read the next one. I think there is a next one already, and I have no intention of reading it. That was 3.5 stars because I felt like being nice. The Everlasting by Alex E. Harrow. 5 stars. Hands down 5 stars. Although I will say, I wish that I hadn't read The Sixth Death of the Saint beforehand. Because it was... I thought, based on what I had seen, that was more of a, like, prequel. But no, it was like, here was a story that I only wrote a short story of, and I want to make it a full story. So, like, I knew the whole plot, basically, before reading the book, and I didn't like that. I would have liked to be a little more surprised. So, take that however you'd like. And I also finished Snake Eater by T. Kingfisher. Not my favorite T. Kingfisher. I did enjoy it, but I was hoping for more horror. Like, based on the description of the book, I was expecting more horror. So that was slightly disappointing, but the writing is beautiful. The characters are always fun and interesting. 4.5 stars. Then what am I currently reading? Brett and I are reading The Gate of the Feral Gods by Matt Dinniman, which is Dungeon Crawler Carl Book 4. We will probably finish that by the end of the year, based on having to take a long drive to my parents next week. I'm also reading Bull Moon Rising by Ruby Dixon. I like it. I like the story a lot. I really dislike the audiobook narrators. And then I discovered that there was a small anthology of T. Kingfishers that I hadn't read yet. I thought I'd read them all, but I hadn't. I haven't read the Halcyon Fairy book yet, but this is somewhat interesting because this book is basically a series of her blog posts where she annotates fairy tales, which I love, her fairy tale annotations. But then it also has, like, this book also contains Toad Words, which was an anthology of her short stories as well, and poetry. So I have already read Toad Words, so I kind of only need to read half of this book, but I'm reading that as well. But her annotated fairy tales are hysterical. Basically, she tells you a really old fairy tale and then her thoughts the whole way through, which is so funny. She's so funny. Love it. So yeah, that's everything I'm reading. I may start a new book today. I may start Wayward by Amelia Hart or The Darkness Outside Us by Elliot Schreffer. I may start one of those. They're on my loans shelf in Libby. So, that's all I've got for you guys today. I feel like it was a lot of stuff, but I feel like it didn't take super duper long amount of time. I thought it was going to take longer than that, but I haven't edited yet, and none of the videos that I needed to include are included yet, so we'll see. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you've enjoyed the podcast this year. The next episode will again be episode 1 for 2026. Yeah. That's all I've got for you right now. I hope you're having a great day. I hope you had a great Christmas if you celebrate, or Hanukkah if you celebrate. And if you don't celebrate either of those, I hope you had a great week. And I will see you guys back here next time for a what we're going to get up to in 2026 episode. So I'll see you back here then. I love you all so much. Thanks for being here. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you back later. Bye.